Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from skiessentials.com.
And I'm Bob. How's it going?
Welcome to our 2025 Mid-100 Freeride ski comparison. This is our first 2025 ski comparison. Bob, you've been busy writing up all the ski tests.
Yep.
So all these skis are fresh in your memory.
Yeah. Don't read what I wrote and listen to me talk about the skis at the same time because it's going to be pretty close.
Sure. I've been busy editing all the videos. If you're watching this the day that this comes out, our ski test is not yet published, but it will be very soon. And good chance that you're watching this after the ski test has been published, in which case I would encourage you to definitely check out the ski test results page for all of these skis, because ski performance is very subjective. And Bob and I can do our best to communicate differences between them and how that might apply to different skiers, but I think really diving into the ski test is fun too.
Just a bigger sample size of people to reference.
Yep, exactly. And I don't want to waste too much time because these videos always end up being pretty long, but this is Mid-100 Freeride skis. We're basically, 104 to 107?
Yeah, and I would say that this Rustler 10 might be the exception because in anything shorter than this 186, we're at 102.
Right, that is a little bit of a gray area.
But we will have the new Anomaly 102 in the 100 millimeter category, because that ski does fit better into an all-mountain realm, whereas this one, more freeride oriented.
You know what we might do?
Put them both in there?
Put it in both,
Okay.
which we've never really done before,
Yeah.
but I actually think for that ski it would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're about 103 to 107 here for this comparison, and we did our best to go in kind of a new organization from more directional to less directional.
Yeah.
And a few different things played into that, and we did kind of go back and forth, and we did shuffle things around a little bit multiple times. And basically what we landed on is these are our opinions, and those opinions are both based on the actual shape of the ski and also how it feels on snow.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
I think so. And someone might say, well, that Enforcer 104 is the hardest charging ski on this wall, therefore
Correct.
it should go over there, but
Well, and I think that's key, is it is directional to not directional,
Right.
and within that we will see variances of stability and weight and just all of those things. And I actually think this is going to make for a really interesting conversation once we get into it. And I could make arguments still to shift skis around.
Yeah.
So if people are watching and they're like, I think that should go over there, I encourage
yeah.
those opinions. Anything else? Are you ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
So Bob's going to get us started with this line, Sakana.
Yeah, and in the written portion of this article, I referred to this ski as a unicorn. Like, it's extraordinarily rare. It's not like you see different companies coming out with a Sakana. This is very specific to what Line does. You could make an argument that Black Crowes does some similar things with its Mirror's core, but Sakana still feels quite a bit different, especially since it is considerably wider at 105 millimeters underfoot, 150 in the tip, 138 in the tail. So just a totally unique ski experience on the Sakana. It's just, if you've never been on it, do your best to find a demo. They're few and far between.
Yeah, it's a hard one to find.
Yeah, but also it's one of those skis that I'd be like, yeah, just go buy it. Like, just go get this thing and you will have a different experience than almost anyone else on the mountain.
I agree. It's also the type of ski that you could buy and just keep for 10 years.
Yeah.
And you're not going to need another one.
Yep.
Because you probably won't ski it that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So pretty cool. Construction-wise, it's a blend of aspen and paulownia wood. The paulownia adds a little bit of stiffness, but generally pretty light and pretty flexible, especially in the shovel. And then carbon flax tape running through the center, so giving that a little bit of extra boost. And then the tail, we see this aluminum insert in the tail with this swallowtail, and it really is stiff. Like when you feel the Pescado within Line series, the wider one, that is a very loose swallowtail. This one's really stiff.
Yep.
Lengthens that effective edge, makes it extraordinarily smooth coming out of the turn, and it just feels like a totally different thing. So pretty interesting construction. You got it on the scale here at 1764 grams. So pretty light, especially given the carving performance of this thing. And how often do we talk about a 105 that looks like this and its carving capabilities?
Well, Bob, every time we talk about the Sakana, which is relatively often.
Yep.
No, but you're right. There's not much. I'm going to wait until you finish, and then I've got a question for you.
Great. Short turn radius, about 15 meters here. So it does like to do that. It is hard to get this shovel to get up on that edge angle to fully adhere to that 15-meter arc. You definitely feel it more from mid-body back where that turn really kicks around. But extraordinarily smooth and supple even if you're opening it up. I had skied on the longer one this year for the first time, the 181. Loved it. Like hard to picture going back to a 174 in this ski. Off trail, interesting. It's not like terrible, but certainly not designed. The powder
depends on the snow conditions.
Depends on the snow conditions. I think that the swallowtail is designed for that, and it does make it smoother, but it's also just, it's such a short turn radius to be kind of a 100% effective off-trail ski. But that's kind of the only drawback I'd say, is that because it's so directional in nature, it does lack some of that playfulness.
Do you want to, as this is a comparison that is taking shape into consideration, can I see the difference between tip rocker and tail rocker?
Sure. And there's quite a difference.
That's not the question that I have for you, though.
Okay. But you would like to see this long rocker profile here?
Yeah.
So,
and the lack of tail rocker.
And the lack of tail rocker. Very good. So where the ski's in contact, I mean, it's kind of hard to say it because it's not even a full ski width, that this is a rocker profile. Like the middle of the swallowtail is back to back.
Yep.
So yeah, you're getting very long effective edge contact on this ski.
You ready for your question?
Sure, go for it.
What's the closest ski up here?
I wasn't ready for that question, Jeff.
It's a challenging question. I'm not ready for it either,
yeah,
really.
It's a good one. Turn shape, it's hard to avoid that Wailer.
I know, but they don't ski the same at all.
No, they don't ski the same. Yeah, I don't know. I'd say the Wailer.
It's like if you could combine the Wailer with an Enforcer 104 and take some metal out.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably what you're getting. And that's why this is such a unique product.
Yeah, I mean, I figured it was a fun question given this is a comparison video.
Yeah.
And like, what does it compare to? I would say that Sakana is so unique that it doesn't really compare to anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's its own thing. It's super unique.
Yeah, no, but I love it.
I also think it was an easy one to pick as most directional because the shape is just so directional.
Yeah, not a lot of multi-directional use going on there.
Nope. I have seen people like ski at Switch, some like really talented line athletes. Like every once in a while you'll see people do like wild things on it, and I'm always like, whoa, careful.
Yeah, and the mount point's pretty far back too, so that kind of takes that out of consideration as well.
Give you that one to throw on the scale for me. So second ski here, compared to a ski that is very untraditional, I would say that this Faction Dancer 3 is actually quite traditional.
Like more of a throwback ski than almost anything else we have up
100%, especially on this wall. It reminds me of like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And not necessarily in a bad way either, and I think there's a lot of people that really like skis like this. So the Dancer line from Faction is home to their truly directional skis, and they're pretty powerful skis too. So I suppose Agents are directional as well, but Dancers are really intended to be strong. This ski has a poplar wood core and then 2 full sheets of metal. Couple things that I think are worth pointing out is they do kind of finish it in cap construction in both the tips and the tails. So if you're familiar with ski construction and kind of how they're finishing the sidewalls, cap construction is basically taking out some torsional stiffness, so allowing this portion of the ski, if I had bigger hands, maybe I could do it, to twist a little bit. And I'm pretty glad that they did that, because I feel like if they hadn't done that with this ski, it would be a lot.
Yeah.
Not to say that there aren't skiers out there that could handle it and probably enjoy it, but I think just like it doesn't need to be vertical sidewall wrapping all the way around the tip or the tail. So kind of glad that they put that cap construction in there, but still like pretty darn powerful, stiff flexing ski. What's this length? 183. We're at 2,120 grams.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of ski. There are heavier skis up here, but not many. 1, 2. We'll see.
Enforcer, probably this.
That's what I was
Imagine
thinking.
The Blade, maybe the Salomon even.
Might be, but definitely among the heavier skis. So if you like that, if you like powerful, strong, stable skis, you like to really ski fast, Dancer could be for you. I would say it's not very playful. So good amount of tip rocker up here, but to me that's more working as like making sure that your ski is planing out on soft snow rather than providing any amount of playfulness. Then the tail really doesn't have much rocker, and it is going to be super interesting as we go through this, because we are going in more directional to less directional, and I think amount of tail rocker is going to be a very interesting thing to look at. And then 21 meter turn radius in this ski. So it's not the biggest turn radius in the world, but for a ski that's 106 underfoot with 2 sheets of metal, 21's pretty big. So it's going to make some pretty darn big turns. If you're like the style skier that likes to find really open, ungroomed terrain and just see how fast you can go, you're going to love the Dancer 3. That's kind of what it's all about. There are skis up here that I think can match its stability. Like even that Optic 104, like that ski is very strong, that have more of like a loose, agile feel. This is going to want to stay on edge, stay tracking down the fall line. Not much slip and smear in this ski.
No, and it's the height of camber that really prevents that. It's not really, it's like the height and kind of the length. Like there's just a lot of positive camber in this ski, and that kind of leads to its more traditional character.
Yep.
And when we go through our ski test, this is a consistent, all the Dancers, but the 3 specifically, consistently pops out as being an extraordinarily energetic and with a ton of rebound. So skiers that kind of have that more traditional sense of loading the ski, using the camber to get rebound into the next turn, they love these things. I think you're right, though. It's that skier that's really looking to throw it sideways that's going to be a little left out. Yeah.
And I think, like, I don't think a skier that wants to throw it sideways is going to even really be shopping here.
Probably not.
So I don't think it's a huge concern. What would you say the closest comparison up here is?
If you're looking for like a lot of camber to go with it, I don't know. I mean, you'd mentioned the Optic. I think that's a pretty good one.
For me, I have to go to Enforcer.
I mean, just sticking with the 2 sheets of metal lay on it. I think that's the snow feel and the dampness and those things, the stability are going to be very similar in those skis.
The thing that I get hung up on, or not hung up on, but stay focused on between these 2 skis is there's a pretty big difference in turn radius.
Yeah.
And I think that changes like capabilities and personality. I think Enforcer can feel like a little bit more lively.
Yep.
Where this is that true like traditional down the fall line, point it and go. So
I mean, they get them from different ways. You know, the Enforcer from its radius and the Faction from its camber. You know, they kind of can achieve similar things, but through different avenues.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. You got a good one here for your 3rd ski, or for our 3rd ski.
Well, I mean, I like starting Sakana and Paragon because these were kind of 2 of my favorites from this past year.
And I'm going to put this on the scale for you, but we do have the demo binding on here, so it's not going to be
I think from the catalog, I remember it being right around 2,000 grams.
I believe you are correct.
This is a new Kastle Paragon 107. This is the 184, and I do, if my memory serves, about 2,000 grams in this ski. New line, really taking over from where FX left off. And basically what they've done is they've used the ZX mold and then made a burlier build. So this is really a very similar shape and footprint to the Kastle ZX 108, but instead of a poplar and beech wood core and fiberglass, Paragon uses a new wood core and 2 full sheets of metal. So their new wood core, I love this from their catalog, impossibly thin stringers of poplar, beech, and paulownia.
This ski doesn't even exist.
No, it's impossible. But if you think about it the way that Blizzard uses their True Blend wood core by kind of putting more of the denser wood, the beech stringers, in the center of the ski, and then poplar and paulownia tapers as it gets to the side. They're keeping that central core strong while allowing for it to be more amenable to softer snow and stuff like that on the sides. So more strength in the middle, a little bit more flex on the outsides. And then 2 full sheets of metal also get their hollow tech for damping vibrations. Ends up being like not terribly stiff, like especially in the shovel. I think that's kind of another interesting talking point as we go through here is where is it consistent or not, and what does that do? So a little bit softer in the shovel and then stiff through the middle and through the tail. That's going to let you get into the turn or encounter soft snow with better ease. And then when you open it up, you're just getting full confidence in a carved turn from mid-body on back. So something like this really...
just at speed.
At speed, it just really smooths out. And that's where I found this Paragon to really excel, was at speed, high-speed GS turns. Loved it. Little long, 19.2 turn radius here. So kind of similar discussion to the Faction, where is it getting its energy from? Faction with with that camber, and this from a flatter tail.
A little like pintail kind of to the, like there's more taper in that tail, which I think is important.
Well, when ZX came out, it was always interesting to see how they're just long, drifty shovel shape, you know, really smooth, soft snow. And then the tail is just extraordinarily directional. So like you said, that more pintailed, but not a whole lot of rocker. So for a 107, if you ever see a shape like this, a little bit more squared off, that certainly leads it more to the directional side. But definitely has that drifty shovel shape, pretty spoony up there. But really, really enjoy this thing. I don't think that a lot of skiers are gonna find that it's terribly forgiving. Like there's definitely some demand here. So
I agree. The narrower ones feel more forgiving. The 101 and the 93 to stay within the Paragon world. That 107, it turns into like a slightly different animal. But I appreciate that little change to the tail shape. Just the fact that they bring that taper in pretty drastically. Because like I was saying about Dancer, if it didn't have the cap construction, if that didn't have that little pintail section, it would be like punishing.
Right, super rugged.
But like just because it has that, it lets you out of a turn a little bit more easily than I would have expected. I was thinking about, remember the day after our ski test when we went skiing and then I decided I didn't want to ski anymore because I was really tired? I was skiing on that and I was like kind of struggling to get down hayride. And I remember in that moment and thinking back to it now that I appreciated the ski's willingness to let me be a little lazy. And I think it's just nice. But for the most part, it's like pretty chargy.
And like I would say maybe Maverick is a pretty decent comparison.
I actually think both of these are.
Kaizen and Maverick.
To me, Kaizen 105 feels a lot like a lightweight Paragon 107.
And then Maverick, I think, just has a more woody feel to it. Like, you know, these Kastle's, certainly a high quality ski for sure. But if you like put it up against a Stokely or something that has a little bit more dampness to it. Like these are damp because they have metal.
Yeah.
But they're also a little bit loud. Like it's kind of like that sports car that just
gives you a lot of feedback.
You feel it. And that I would say the Maverick is kind of on the other side.
The Maverick's driftier.
Yeah, it's a little more
Totally,
plush.
100%, and floatier.
Yeah. But high speed, I think I skied the fastest on these this year. I think I mentioned that.
I don't remember where I think you said or wrote that somewhere else. Maybe it must have been when I was editing.
Well, we did a Paragon overview,
test.
like a full Paragon review, and I think that was my big takeaway from that 107 was that I think I hit my high speed of the year.
If you want to hit your high speed, consider a Paragon 107. Also, if you want to hit your high speed, I probably hit my high speed this year on an Enforcer 99, which is very similar to this Enforcer 104. So probably the most interesting thing, and we can get right out ahead of it here, I'll give you that one. This is a new Enforcer 104. So the previous ski was the 104 free, and if we had the previous ski here, I would put it over there.
Yeah, a little further down this way.
In fact, I would put it like to the right of Rustler.
Like, these two.
Even like maybe to the right of Atris, because it did have a lot of tail rocker. And interestingly, we'll talk specifically about the 99. The 99 compared to the 100 has considerably more tail rocker, while this one has less. And I think we've done a pretty good job describing that over the past 6 months or so since these skis were announced. But it's not just like a blanket change across the board for all Enforcers. Each ski changes differently. So this ski is now more directional than it has ever been before, which I think is very interesting. It doesn't change too much aside from that. Construction is different. They have a new sourcing of wood, but as far as we know, the wood itself is not very different. And then there's still 2 sheets of metal. They did pull the metal in just a tiny bit, like a couple millimeters, much different than, say, what you would see from like a Fischer Ranger, where the metal is pulled in like half a centimeter from the edges. So just a tiny shift in the basically the width of the metal. And then we get pulse core too, so we get like an elastomer material underfoot. And aside from that, it's still the same. It's largely, all Enforcers are still Enforcers by construction and kind of on paper. Still very stiff. You know, Enforcers have always been pretty darn stiff. I would say the 104 probably got a little stiffer.
It's a thicker profile.
Compared to the 104 free?
Yeah, when we put them side by each, it was easy to see that there's an extra like 2 millimeters of core thickness.
Yeah, so it's pretty darn stiff. It's probably the stiffest ski that we've looked at so far.
So far, yeah.
And maybe one of the stiffest skis on this wall, so I think that's really important. And then what is this, 179? Yeah, and we're 2,230 grams. So what, 100 grams heavier than the Dancer 3 that we just looked at, and a little shorter. So it is like, it's pretty stiff, it's pretty heavy.
Pretty hefty.
And now it's more directional than it's ever been. So
like, do you feel more connected to the snow on anything else on this wall, do you think?
Me?
Yeah, you.
It's a weird question.
Well,
like I almost want to say I feel the most connected to the snow on a Scope 104.
Because it's so loose.
Because I feel the snow the most. I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for.
I was looking for a yes, but I guess that's my answer.
I feel the most confident going fast.
Yeah, in a carved turn.
In a carved turn on this ski. Yeah. So anyways, looking at shape here, decent amount of tip rocker, but not a lot. Like we're going to look at a lot of skis on this wall that have more tip rocker. And then there is a decent amount of tail rocker, and there's some splay back here, but there's not that much. And just the way that it skis very directional. This one does have an 18.5 meter turn radius in this 179, and I think that helps a lot. It definitely helps a lot for me being lighter weight. You know, I can't like bend it as much as a heavier skier could. So it gives me more control, and I guess I feel more confident like controlling speed through carbs rather than say on a Dancer 2 or something like that. at some point I'm throwing that thing sideways.
Yeah.
Where even on a pretty steep trail, I feel like I can keep these kind of on edge and just make railroad tracks down the mountain. And I think that's sweet. I think it's like tough in tight terrain.
Yeah.
I mean, I think even the 104 Free was tough in tight terrain, but
Yeah.
that ski benefited from much longer tail rocker and more splay, which I think gave it some forgiveness. And yeah, it's actually a really interesting comparison. I don't know if you would agree, but to me, like the 99 almost feels easier in technical terrain just because it's quicker edge to edge. And now the 99 and the 104 are so similar in shape.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I just feel like with this 104, you feel all the extra mass and volume of the ski.
Yeah.
Like you really feel like you're on something substantial.
Yeah.
And same with the 99, but this just takes it to the next level.
I think that's why I didn't answer your question with yes, because I don't know that I feel the snow very much.
Yeah.
I just feel the ski and kind of let the ski do its thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just along for the ride.
That's fine. I feel like me and the snow are 100% connected on that thing.
You feel at home.
I feel at home.
So to me, like, I guess I feel kind of at home on the ski. I'd probably feel more at home on just about anything on the
over
right
here?
side
Yeah,
of the
sure.
wall because it has more tail rocker, and that's just how I like to ski.
Yep.
So.
No, it makes perfect sense.
You know what we never did at the beginning of this video that I'm going to slot in right now and even put a timestamp on it?
Okay.
If you're wondering where certain brands are, they just don't make skis that fit into this category.
Yeah.
So Rossignol was the one that came to mind as I was, and Elan is another one. So if you're watching this video and you're like, where the heck is brand X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
They will be in another video.
Yeah.
And like what will be really interesting is in like the 100 or maybe even low 100 or whatever, and then in the 110, those brands that don't have representation here will have more there. So like in the 110 and from Elan, we'll have Ripstick 108 and Playmaker 111.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's it. There's my 30-second middle of the video timestamp.
Nope, I think that's worthwhile. Another new ski here, Volkl Blaze 104. So the 106 is gone, replaced with this 104. They also have a new 94 that follows this same construction characteristic. And this is one of the skis that kind of jumped out to me. I always enjoyed the Blaze 106, but kind of felt like it was a bit more pigeonholed as a soft snow ski, as like a powder specialist.
It kind of felt like a powder ski to me.
Yeah. And then this 104 just kind of opens up that really nice, fun shape, and just with the new build, makes it a little bit more directional, a little bit more accessible. Really feels like a lighter weight all mountain ski that you can throw sideways pretty easily. I think the shape of this is kind of where we get into shape versus construction, kind of puts it more on your side.
Yeah, because it is like a drifty ski.
Yeah.
It doesn't ski like any of the first three skis that we've talked about.
No.
But what I think is cool is we're kind of shifting into a different section of skis here where it does share some similarities with the next 4 or 5 skis that we're going to look at. So it is directional by nature, but its performance is different than these like metal-clad heavy hitter skis over here.
Yeah. And speaking of metal, that's one of the boosts here. We're at 1,878 grams on this 179.
Yeah, a little heavier.
We've often talked about the metal used in the Blaze 94 and the 106. Now in the 104, it's full width. It used to taper in, just as I would imagine a weight savings technique for Volkl, as this was originally intended to be more of a hybrid touring ski. And now they're moving more to the resort side of the spectrum. So wider metal, full edge to edge, just underfoot here. And that's giving you better grip, torsional stiffness underfoot. But then we also get the green core technology that we saw come out in the Blaze 114 last year. So that filters into this 104. And we get 4 radius drive. So what the Mantra M7 gets and the Secret gets for this year, the Secret 96, with that 4th radius. So in addition to those little construction things, we do get a new turn shape as well. So really interesting what they do. I would say that the middle portion here is kind of the big, that's like the fourth in my mind, because there was always like a little bit longer in the tip, a little bit shorter underfoot and longer in the tail. And now we get a little bit shorter in the tip for better engagement. And then in the middle, it's longer, and that gives you better stability at speed. And it's just hard to think of a ski that's this light being stable at speed, but we found it to really be true.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty interesting how it composes itself at speed.
It's definitely different than the 106. The 106 at speed felt twitchy
And like
nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And that one, like, it is it is no Mantra 102
nope.
compared to like the closest Volkl in width, or I guess Revolt 104 is closer. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they definitely upped that. So maybe they took away a little bit of like soft snow surfiness, but they definitely increased that on trail or off trail trustworthiness, which is nice to have.
And that fits really well with the rocker profile. So with those 4 different radii through the ski, they really have a flat profile. There's not a ton of underfoot camber, and then the rocker in the tips and tails is very long and very low.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of a flatter overall profile, and that allows you to vary your edge angle and take advantage of those different turn shapes that are built throughout the ski.
Yep.
So that long and low tip rocker, that keeps you up and floating, but it also allows you to get to a different edge angle really easily. I thought these were awesome. I was impressed when we got on them in the spring snow at how they held up to like slush and more kind of demanding conditions. And then, you know, in bumps and trees and stuff like that, I felt like this was one of the more mobile yet energetic skis on here. You know, if you get over to this side, you start to feel a little bit looser in the tail and not quite as predictable in terms of linking turns in those more technical zones, whereas this one delivers a little bit more grip to the tail, keeping it more in that directional spectrum.
It's still like relatively drifty.
Yeah.
Because it's so straight in certain sections, and the rocker is long. So it definitely still has that. And that's something that the Blaze has always had, or the 106 always had. But I agree that they made it like more technical and more precise.
Yeah.
Which kind of feels like the right thing to do for a Volkl.
Yeah, and I also think that within their line, it just made sense to have a Blaze 94, 104, 114.
Well, on the 114, and I think you've mentioned this before, is like now that's the powder ski.
That's the powder ski.
So why would the 106 need to be like phenomenal in powder?
Yeah.
And this is still perfectly reasonably good in powder.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty psyched on these new 104s.
Sweet. Where are we? So next ski we've got up here is the Kaizen 105. This ski is unchanged for 2025. We got that split core, correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, Polonia and Poplar.
You are half wrong or half right, depending whether you're looking at
Polonia and Aspen.
Now 100% wrong. Poplar on top, ash on the bottom.
Perfect, thank you. And then we get those 2 layers of carbon. So this ski, in my opinion, in a lot of ways, it accomplishes similar things to this Blaze, but in a very different way.
Yeah.
Do you remember the weight?
It's about 1,900 grams in the catalog.
So not that far off.
Not far off.
And that's what I was thinking. So they're pretty close in weight. And then this ski has a pretty just round flex pattern. You know, when you have a ski that has this much carbon in it, I think like on paper you could expect it to flex like a core, but it doesn't. There's some give here.
Yeah, can I see one of those cores?
Sure.
You got a sec?
You're gonna do a flex comparison?
Yes.
I'm taking this ski back.
Okay. Yeah, pretty different.
Way different. Yeah. And then moving on to shape here. Bob, did you know that this is my favorite directional DPS ski?
No, you learn something new every day.
So this is my favorite directional DPS ski, and I'll tell you why. A lot of tip rocker up here, classic DPS tip rocker, classic DPS taper, not as aggressive as some,
Yeah.
but it's there. You know, I think a lot of people associate that shape with DPS. Camber underfoot, edges need to be cleaned up a little bit on this one.
I saw that.
It's fine. And then pretty lengthy tail rocker, but not much splay. And then the big thing here for me is it has an 18-meter turn radius. And that's why it's my favorite directional DPS ski, is because I like that 18-meter radius.
Yeah.
So when we talk about Wailer over here, that ski has a 15-meter radius, and there are definitely times when like I'm just not ready to turn again.
Yeah.
I
hear you.
I like
Yeah.
to be able to put my skis sideways and let them stay sideways for a little bit. And on this ski, I feel like I can do that, but then I also benefit from like its quickness, its responsiveness, its technical mindset. It is extremely agile if you're like engaged with it. And it's a really, really good ski. I think it's probably one of my favorite like directional tree skis for around here, for where we live.
Yeah.
And really good in the powder. Again, like I like that longer turn radius for powder. And I think that there's a lot of similarities between something like Blaze 104 and this Kaizen 105. For me, the difference is just this does it with a little bit more responsiveness. So a really, really technical skier would really like it a lot. I always think
Yeah.
about Chuck.
Right. Who's deliberate,
Extremely deliberate.
very steady, very sturdy.
Never goes too fast.
Yeah. Wants
And-
the ski to do what he says.
And he says the correct thing.
Yeah.
Like he has exceptionally good ski technique. He's waiting perfectly.
Yeah.
And when a ski doesn't do what he expects it to do,
Yeah.
he gets like kind of angry.
It's a bad ski.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, this thing's terrible.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, well, Chuck, you can't like, it's not going to do that. Where like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
So if you've been skiing for a long time, if you have really, really, really good technique and you want a ski that's going to kind of like take that and enhance it, I think this thing's pretty awesome. And then not that it can compare to like an Enforcer 104 on trail or anything like that, but it can actually like rip some carving turns on trail.
Yeah, I've had some success on that thing. I really enjoy it as
Yeah.
well. I think I am more of a 15-meter skier in the
I would-
DPS world.
Yeah, I would agree.
But they also make that in the 100 is the 15-meter. So
Right.
there are differences within the Kaizen line, where this is the only one with the 18, the wider and the narrower have the shorter.
Yeah, I don't like those as much.
That's fine.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Ski performance is
Yeah.
subjective, and I'd like at least a certain radius.
Yeah.
Just because it lets the ski kind of drift and skid a
Yeah.
little bit more.
No, totally understandable.
Something that I think this ski does exceptionally well when you want it to.
Yeah. This new Atomic Maverick 105 CTI. We got to spend a lot of time on this ski this past year. Jeff, you out in Utah, I believe, were on this thing in some deep snow.
Deepest snow I've skied
Yep.
in, I don't know,
Ever.
eight
Ish.
years?
Yeah.
10, maybe my life. Couple turns in particular.
Yeah.
And they're probably watching them right now because we're talking about it, and that'll be a good editing cue for me. But yeah,
Yeah. So
just
from
wild.
deep snow to our Vermont firm stuff, like we've really kind of
Put that
this
thing just about
yeah,
everywhere.
We spent a lot of time on this new ski this year.
Yeah.
And one of the interesting things that we had this year, and we've talked about it kind of amongst ourselves, is we had a lot of like thaw freeze cycles, and it ended up delivering very like sugary snow and kind of like pebble and sand style.
We had
Like,
way too many of those days.
a lot of
and
those days.
I hate them.
But you need a ski that has the right amount of substance, the right amount of flex and grip
Yeah.
in order to ski those conditions really well.
Like the spoony shovel.
Spoony shovel,
It like stayed
Yep.
on top of that
Stayed
granular
on top.
stuff. Yeah, I know exactly what you
and
mean.
then metal underfoot. We have a poplar wood core with ash, and then a metal underfoot, and then carbon stringers. So there are the proper ingredients for strength and power and grip, and then the shape allows you to kind of, you don't want the front of your ski to dig into that stuff.
Right.
You need it to kind of hover a little bit before hooking in.
Yeah.
And then you get that nice strong directional performance through the tail.
The most hilarious application to talk
I
about.
know.
Like, no one picks skis for granular conditions, but like everything that you're saying is 100% true, and it is like a very good representation of what the ski can do.
And like how many millions of people spent a day skiing in those conditions?
Like one day.
And if you're like on something narrower, it just digs in and it doesn't carve.
Yeah.
And if you're on something wider, then you don't get down to the ice, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, but it definitely, those conditions I had the most success on this Maverick 105. But
that's fair.
Yeah.
I just think what you're saying is hilarious.
1,930 grams here, 178, I believe. Yeah, so just under 2,000 grams. You know, I think it feels sturdier.
Well, I was gonna say it skis lighter.
Yeah, I mean it feels like you're connected.
Yeah,
but it also, I mean, this is another good time to say, like, this is not like a 100% consistent ski tip to tail. There's differences. There's the Freeride shovel and then a more directional shape underfoot and build.
Yeah.
So a lot of rocker in the tip, like a good amount of splay. We got their new Horizon Tech profile, so a little bit extended in the wood, just makes it feel more sturdy without taking out too much of the flotation. Nice camber underfoot, and then long-ish tail rocker, but certainly not a high sense of splay or a dramatic rocker profile in the tail. So that's keeping it over there on Jeff's side. But yeah, just the difference between the shovel and the tail in terms of the flotation to start and then the kick out of the tail, I think is very different.
Yeah.
But really fun skis. You can definitely feel, it feels woodier and, I don't know, more organic than the outgoing Maverick 100, which was like a thinner profile, 2 sheets of metal throughout. Like that ski was very precise, like didn't have this tapered shape in the shovel. So they're definitely moving more towards the Freeride aspect with this 105 versus the 100 that's now gone.
It's way better, and they're going to sell way more of them.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Well, I also think that the 100 to 95 they were
too similar.
A little close. Yeah.
I agree. I think it was really hard for people to pick between those two.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think it was so hard to pick between those two that people just gave up and didn't pick either of them.
Right. They got a Bet 100 or something.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, it seems like the Maverick 95 early indicators are that ski is selling better than it ever has before. And I wonder if Maverick 105 is any help to that.
Yeah.
But I do think like it's an awesome ski, and it's a really good one for Atomic to have in their line, because it like captures some amount of what the bents do in like fun factor, but puts it in a directional strong format.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. Great ski, Darren Ralphs.
Yeah. And I think just looking at this wall right now, like these two, in my mind, are pretty similar in terms of their application and overall kind of footprint.
They're very similar in what they accomplish.
Yeah.
I agree. They feel a little different. But it's funny because I'm glad that you mentioned that, because as you were talking, I was just over here thinking to myself, like, Maverick 105 could shift that way on this wall.
My way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a little bit. Just because it does start to get a little bit of the like drifty, kind of modern, new school vibe.
Yeah.
In fact, in hindsight, I would have liked to at least put it further than the head core that I'm going to talk about next.
Well, if you want, you could just move them over and put the core back where it goes.
It's going to get very confusing.
Okay.
I'm not going to do that. But next ski, I guess next core is true too. Next ski is the Head Core 105. This is back for another season, just a new top sheet graphic. These have really like gone through a number of changes in their like top sheet finishing since they came out.
Yep.
And I think they've gotten to the point where they kind of nailed it. Took them like 4 tries.
Yeah, like they didn't used to have a top sheet. That was
Right, and then they were horribly chipping.
Yeah.
And then they had a top sheet, but it like got scuffed.
Yeah.
And then chipped. And now this one's like nice and durable, and I think looks really clean. I think they've really, cosmetically, they've really brought it together and nailed it with this new ski. And you know what, Bob? This will probably make you happy. The more I ski it, the more I like it.
This 105 or cores in general?
Cores in general, but particularly the 105.
Yeah.
At first, I didn't get along particularly well with cores. I just found them like overly responsive. Kind of like what I was talking about with Kaizen is like sometimes I'll put my skis sideways and I'm not ready for them to come back. And cores, to me, always wanted to come back, and maybe my skiing style has changed a little bit in my time here at Ski Essentials. I think it definitely has. But these days I tend to like this ski quite a bit. So Karuba wood core, a lot of carbon in here. We get graphene. I think choroid is gone. They used to have choroid.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I think that was,
just
one step too far.
It was just everything. Everything. What stiff light materials can we put in here? And then there's some rubber in here too to just kind of quiet the vibrations. That carbon is curved, which I think is pretty important. We've talked about that a lot with other skis, particularly Elan with like 3-dimensional carbon and how it can kind of change its properties. And it is a stiff, strong, powerful ski, but it's light. So what length do we have here? 184, so pretty darn big ski in my hand, and it's only 1,835 grams. So it is one of the lightest skis on this wall. And as has been talked about over and over and over and over again, it is probably also the stiffest. So what happens when you have a ski that is very, very light and very, very stiff, it becomes very, very responsive. And like I was saying, those are some things that were traditionally tough for me, and now I just feel like I've I've come to learn and appreciate the cores much more over the last 2-3 years. Little bit of tip rocker, not much.
No, but like more than the 99. So
87,
93, 99 all share similar rocker and taper. Once you hit 105, totally different thing.
Yep, but on this wall, it's not much.
Nope, not much.
And then not much tail rocker either. Pretty consistent to a lot of the skis that we've talked about. Over here on the left side of the wall, we have a 17.8 meter turn radius. And what I like most about this ski is just how easy it is to flick around. And that has countered, like if there's anything about it that's challenging for me, like really speaking to like technical skiing where you have to make a lot of turns, like tight trees and stuff like that, if anything was challenging for me, it has been countered by how quick I can get it to move. So I've learned to be more engaged on it and tell it what to do rather than just letting it drift and smear. And then I get like into this kind of like more rhythmic skiing style than I might normally have, and like feel like I'm skiing really well, and I'm like, whoa, this thing's really fun. Now I get it. Like, makes a lot of sense why people like it. And then the other thing that's great that I've always liked about it is on trail, for me, it's like super stable.
Yeah.
It doesn't really get deflected. I don't really know how they pull that off because it is light.
It's the taper. So like you're only dealing with the middle, I don't know, 2/3 of the ski.
This doesn't really do much.
No, it doesn't.
Which I guess is a good thing. But yeah, I've always really enjoyed that you can ski it fast and aggressively. And now I've come to enjoy its quickness and its like maneuverability and capabilities in tight terrain. And I know that's something that you've always liked.
Yep.
And I think that's a good representation of how we are different as skiers, and like really the opposite conversations can happen over there when we get to that side of the wall where maybe you'll say a similar thing of like, I used to not like this, but now I've learned to just not turn as much.
My struggles increase as we get this way.
Yeah.
But
it makes a lot of sense.
I've also found with the core that they're edge angle specific and they're edge angle sensitive. And that's kind of what you're talking about with the precision.
Correct.
So like when you're a skier that can get this thing up on edge, you're going to see massive benefits.
Yep.
Because you get that energy and the power of the carbon.
Yep.
If you're a big skier and you're riding it at a lower edge angle, not as much success. Or if you're a lighter skier and you try to get it up high, it's so stiff and responsive, kind of like your DPS there, that it just doesn't quite dig in as much as it can. So there is some type of sensitivity that needs to take place, or some alignment of skier and ski style to the core.
Yeah. I think that's very fair. I feel like I'm doing a better job aligning myself.
Well, and I think when you get to 105, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
Versus the narrower. You're probably good on the 87 and the 105.
I was just going to say, I love the 87. Yeah, I really like the 87. 87's sweet. 87, 105, 111.
Yeah.
My favorite cores.
Yeah, the 111's fantastic.
Yeah, that ski's got, it's awesome.
Yeah.
One of the best skis in that category.
I think so.
I can't wait to get to 110. Yeah. There's a lot of good 110 skis.
This is a 107 here, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm going to put it on the scale just because that's what we do. But it's got a really heavy attack demo binding on it.
Yeah. I don't even want to say that number. 3,372.
Yeah. Binding's half that, probably.
DPS Wailer 107, if that sounds familiar. Basically, they recycled the name. The Wailer, kind of synonymous with DPS skis in the past. They kind of went through some transitions with Pagoda and stuff like that, and now they're back to Wailer.
Kaizen. Threw Kaizen in there.
Yeah. So this is kind of a throwback in name with a new construction. So interesting stuff. They are, instead of kind of horizontal laminates in Kaizen with poplar and ash, or in Pagoda from years past, there were 3 different layers of woods all laminated in different ways and grooves and notches. We're back to a poplar wood core here. So they're keeping it a little bit more simple with the wood core. And then in terms of the carbon application, there are 2 layers of fiberglass with carbon stringers, both on top and bottom. So instead of full carbon layers like we see in Kaizen or like we saw in Pagoda or the old Alchemist construction, now we're using more of a hybrid style with carbon-infused fiberglass laminates. So that's just kind of, I think it's taken the edge off.
Yep.
Kind of what we're talking about with the precision of the core. We don't really have to have that same conversation with this so much anymore. It is more amenable. It is more flexible.
It's pretty soft.
Pretty soft. And I think that makes sense, especially when we're dealing with your favorite 15-meter turn radius in this ski here.
I like 15-meter turn radii.
Yeah.
I just don't particularly like them in skis that are 105 underfoot, unless it's a Sakana.
Yeah.
Which I don't take off trail.
Right.
So that's the big thing for me, is like off-piste soft snow skiing. The short radius it just doesn't jive with me super well.
I like it. I like it because I feel like I'm a little bit more deliberate with my turns these days, and I think that's kind of the key, especially when you're dealing with such a dramatic rocker profile and taper shape.
It puts some roundness into off-piste turns.
Yeah. So in order for them to adhere to this 15-meter arc, they need to do some weird things with the shape and the profile. Tons of tip rocker here. And what's really interesting is that there's really not a lot of edge contact before it goes to camber. So it does have that very, very scooped out shovel shape.
Yeah.
Tons of splay up here. So for a 107, is this the best pure floating 107 up here maybe? I don't know. Could be. I'd put in an argument that this would be my powder ski choice on this wall.
I mean, it wouldn't be mine, but that's just for reasons that are well established at this point. I do think, you just have to ski it the right way.
Yeah.
And that's just not how I want to ski when I'm in powder.
Yeah, I hear you.
Sorry. Sorry, DPS.
And then
Give me a koala. I'll take a koala.
Yeah.
Or this thing.
Not this.
Probably not.
And then taper too. So they do have to bring the widest part of the ski well down into it in order to get that 15-meter arc out of the middle of the ski. And then pretty long tail rocker in the back as well. Similar, it's a very short contact point here. So this is just like a pure curve. There's really no flat spots like we see on some of these other skis, and not a ton of splay. That's kind of one of the reasons that this ends up over on that side, is basically the lack of splay, even though the tail rocker is long.
Yeah.
The intention of the rocker is different than the intention of tail rocker over here on like Vision or Nightstick.
Correct.
So directional tail rocker versus more creative tail rocker. But pretty cool new old ski, I guess, from DPS. New construction. If you like that 15-meter arc, which I do, I think that's a great ski. I'm not as comfortable just letting my skis run in powder. I like to be more deliberate.
Straight and sideways, Bob.
I'm trying.
I don't want you to change the way that
unnatural.
you ski. I like the way that you ski. In fact, a lot of me wishes that I could ski more like you. But yeah, I don't know. For whatever reason, I like getting on.
Yeah.
Like this Maverick did that for me so well.
Yeah.
Of just like basically just going straight and like porpoising and bouncing, and then like doing one big bounce and then just smashing my skis into like something sideways to dump some speed.
Yeah.
I just like that stuff. Anyways, moving on. This is a K2 Mindbender 106C. I really like these skis. I also like its narrower sibling, the 96C. This is the second year for the 96 and 106C. We talked about it a lot last year, but I like that they filled in the middle of the carbon-based skis, which I think was really important.
Yeah, and like the 108 Ti is really specific. Like that's
like more
a
people
charging ski.
More people should buy this than a 108 Ti.
Yeah.
So aspen wood core in this ski, and then we get carbon spectral braid. So carbon spectral braid is used in Reckoners, it's used in Mindbenders. In Reckoners, it's a directional carbon spectral braid. So it's basically like tighter cross-hatching up here in the forebody, and then more longitudinal cross-hatching down there in the tail. And that's just giving it more torsional stiffness up here and less in the tail, intended to engage into a turn with lots of precision and strength, but exit the turn with ease and swooshiness.
Yeah. And a really
Here,
good
give you that for the scale.
A really good kind of visual engineering principle of kind of what we're talking about with how skis change from tip to tail.
Yeah.
In terms of flex.
I love
and
that you can see the cross hatching like underneath the top sheet. To me, I love the new Reckoner line, just to throw that out there. But the one thing I was bummed about in the new Reckoners is you can't see this carbon spectral braid anymore.
Yeah.
And I do think it's a really nice visual, and it just makes a lot of sense. So for me, like, although this is a directional ski, it's not a twin tip. It's not intended to be a twin tip by any means. K2 makes plenty of skis that are twin tips. Being a directional ski, for me, I really start to feel like we're creeping into some like modern Freeride territory. And I think I said the same about that Maverick 105 CTI, is this ski will let you drift, it'll let you slash, it'll let you smear. But then if you're more like Bob, if you're kind of more of a traditional technical skier, it's perfectly agile and responsive too. So I think it like strikes a lot of nice boxes.
Well, it makes sense that we'll see some blurring in the middle of the wall here.
Yeah, like thinking back to K2 media shoot days, or days that we're out there skiing this ski, you can ski it and it looks like you like are meant for that ski. And then like Matt Strom-Ecke gets on it, who's 26, like 20 years younger than you, or whatever, 18 years younger?
20. Yeah.
20 years younger than you, and he starts to do like very different things.
Yeah.
And you're both smiling and both having a good time, and it doesn't seem like the ski has any issue with either of them.
Right.
So I just think it's cool. Nice round flex pattern. Like I think it's just, there's like not much to say about a flex pattern like this. It's just like,
I mean, consistent
it's a good
and
flex.
predictable.
Exactly.
Like, those are the two things.
Nice and round and like not too stiff, which
Yeah.
I think is nice because it's kind of easier to manipulate. It is 2,080 grams. So for a ski that, is carbon powered, it is on the heavier side.
Yep.
But I think that that typically happens with a lot of K2s, just in like the rest of their build process, the epoxy, everything else that goes into it. I don't think it skis heavy by any means.
No, there is sturdiness to it without it feeling overpowering, and a lot of that has to do with your profile there.
Yep. So looking at this shape, a lot of tip rocker up here, like by length, maybe the most that we've seen so far, which I think is awesome. And then like same is true in the tail. So it gives this ski like a pretty cool mentality. And it's kind of edge angle dependent, like you were talking about with core, I think, where if you're skiing a flatter ski, say you're wiggling through some trees, you're going to get a ton of maneuverability. But then if you're on trail, and this is kind of like an enforcer conversation, the more you tip it up, you're going to engage more and more of the ski, and it actually can feel pretty strong and trustworthy.
Yeah.
So I think it's awesome. Do you want to know something that I think is interesting?
Generally.
You generally want to know? I think it's interesting. So I don't know the numbers, but I get the impression that the 96C is more popular than the 106C. And I think that's because there's so many skis in this range that capture similar things.
Yeah.
Where the 96, that mid-90 with only carbon, but still like a performance-oriented ski, is a little bit more uncommon. Where like this, you could take Maverick, you can even kind of take Core, and then you could take QST, and those three skis, to me, actually I'd throw Kaizen in there too. Those four skis are quite similar in like what they accomplish.
Yeah.
So you have more choices, but I think this thing's awesome. We always had it on the women's side.
Right, and we were always jealous.
Yeah.
No, I think that it does a great job of feeling sturdy without feeling heavy.
Yes.
So like you don't get tired skiing it because of the profile.
The rocker, yeah. It's
but
easy
you
to
feel confident on it because of the weight.
Yep.
So I think it really it meshes those things really well.
Yep. You want to move on to your side?
Yay, my side.
I'm supposed to say that.
Okay.
Yay, your side. Well, I really should have stood on different sides, because the more we get into twin tips, the happier I am.
I don't think I could have done it. I wouldn't have known what to do.
If we switch sides?
Yeah.
No, I'd feel weird.
This is Salomon QST 106. New graphic for this year, both top and bottom. Best base graphics in the game, I think. K2,
yeah,
doing a great job.
They're listening.
Yep,
they hear you.
Yeah.
They're trying.
New graphic, same build. So full poplar wood core. We get carbon and flax fibers in this ski, corked amplifier in tips and tails, and then double sidewall technology is just a little bit stiffer of a plastic in the sidewall in the middle section of the ski, offering really good edge grip. And is there a ski out there that does more things well in terms of mixing soft snow and on-trail skiing than this?
I don't know.
You don't have to.
Rustler 10?
Yeah, I mean, it's like...
Maybe that. Atris?
This is about as complete as it gets on this wall in terms of being like, I want to do everything. I want to have a ski for the powder day. Like, we both skied this at Alta.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it's fun to be on wider skis, but no issues.
I had one issue. Remember, I fell.
Yeah, you fell.
I think that was a me problem, less of a ski problem. But
and then I think, I don't know how many, it was maybe 2 weeks before that we went out there and skied these here at Stowe on a pretty firm day. I felt totally confident skiing pretty firm groomers here in Vermont. So from like firm Vermont groomers to deep Alta Utah days, this ski's got you covered.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's really good. Again, just like it's consistent. Like you don't feel any difference in the flex, tip to tail, extraordinarily round and smooth, and extraordinarily quiet.
Yeah, and then like more aggressive shaping than the K2.
Yeah.
Which kind of like sets them apart a little bit.
No, and then like, was it 2 years ago when this thing got its changed and we had like an awesome powder day here.
Yeah.
And I think we both had the same experience where we're like, well, what else do you need?
It's really good.
It's really good. But yeah, pretty long rocker, kind of similar to that K2. I would say this one's a little bit more aggressive in the taper shape.
That's what
So,
which changes it a little bit.
yeah, widest part's brought down a little bit further, leaving this spoony part of the tip here just to be a little bit more floaty. But when you get into kind of the sidewall aspect of the ski and the camber underfoot, it's extraordinarily rewarding in a carved turn. And then tail rocker, it's long, but it's not really curved.
Yeah.
So we have long tail rocker, but not a ton of splay. So that's keeping it more on the directional side, even versus its narrower brother, the QST 98. This 106 is a lot more directional in terms of shape. So that's a kind of an interesting aspect because they share the same construction.
Yeah.
But this one feels like a more directional ski. Normally you'd say, oh, it's the wider one, it's more freeride oriented, but not so cut and dry.
It is more freeride oriented.
Yeah.
I think because it's 8 millimeters wider, but
Yeah.
it is like it's just it's just interesting how they do that, and it's like it almost like creates a fairly linear progression of performance through the QSTs, but it doesn't do it. It's not a simple formula.
No,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and this one's a little bit of the outlier though, because you get like the shorter radius, the 92, 98, and the blank.
Yeah.
And then this one at 18 meters is a little bit longer.
Yeah.
In that, so it's a straighter cut overall. And I think that's a little bit more like athlete inspired in order to be more aggressive through crud and chop and broken snow and stuff like that. So it's it's meant to blend that pure powder and then more on-trail stuff. So, I don't know.
I had a great time on that Alta.
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed skiing it.
Did we get the weight? I'm sorry.
I just can't help but think about really both our trips to Alta over the past, I guess they spanned 3 years.
Yeah.
And we skied it on both those trips. The same ski, really, different color, but the same ski. And both times I was like, this thing is just, like, aside from the days that we've been there that are really deep,
Yeah.
I just can't help but feel like why would you want anything different?
Yeah. And similar to the K2, we got some heft, about 2,100 grams in this 181, and it feels substantial but not demanding or heavy, and that's due to the shape.
It's similar to that.
Yeah. But really fun, cool new orange ski.
Yeah, the orange is quite a departure from previous 106
Yeah,
colors.
just like gray.
Yeah, totally. All right, this is a very unique ski. This is the Line Optic 104. No changes for 2025. They just get new top sheet graphics.
And a new name.
It's no longer the Blade Optic 104.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Blade.
It's sad.
Hasn't been keeping me up at night. So if you were really disappointed that Nordica changed the Nordica Enforcer 104 and made it, they changed the Enforcer 104 free and made it the 104 non-free, just go buy an Optic 104.
Yeah.
Because to me, they accomplish very, very similar things. So very unique ski. It's a strong metal-clad freeride twin tip. And there just aren't that many of those.
No.
Like Rustler kind of falls into that category, but it's different. And then after that, we're done.
Yep.
But on this wall, there's nothing else that really like hits that mark. So again, if that's what you're looking for, you really don't have to look much further. Aspen wood core in this ski, and then we get gas pedal metal overdrive, which is too long of a name, but that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know what else to call it, but
Gas pedal metal. I don't know. So there's kind of like a really cool like bridge of metal in this ski. It starts up here, it goes through the center of the ski, and then expands or widens into like this like grid kind of where there are like sections removed, but there is metal that goes all the way to the edges in this portion of the ski. It's just not full width metal, but still like a lot of metal.
It always struck me as like when on the golf course we used to install like curtain drains and branches of drains doing drainage work on fairways and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like this.
Yeah, it's like that. If you wanted to work on your drainage, follow that.
Get an
pattern.
Optic 104 and
Yeah.
build it like this. But they need to be draining down.
Well,
So
they
you're
are
sit-
if you hold the ski upside down.
Anyways, and then that metal kind of does the same thing through the tail here. It just goes back to the center strip. So there's not like 2 full sheets of metal, but there is a lot of metal in this ski. It's got a nice round flex pattern, so maybe not quite as stiff as that outgoing Enforcer 104 free. We could have brought one. Went downstairs.
Yeah.
Oh well. But it's supportive. And then 2,260 grams. So
Yeah.
the heaviest ski that we've looked at so far.
It's pretty heavy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's Enforcer 104
Yeah.
weight. And really, what sets it apart is that weight and that build with this much tip rocker, good amount of taper too. It's like kind of that pointy straight cut through the tip, and then a ton of tail rocker, and like we're getting into true twin tip world here.
Yeah.
So it is stable, it is strong, it has great vibration damping, but it can do every single modern twin tip freeride-y thing that you want to do. And the first time I ever skied it, I think that's like all I really did. We were at Pico, and
You
I was
did
like,
modern free ride things.
yeah, remember I was jumping off a lot of stuff over on the side and like
Yeah.
doing little slashy things and like
You were like,
trying
is this what I'm supposed to
trying
do?
to tap
Yeah.
things. Yeah. And it's just really, really fun to ski. And that's kind of the, that's the line attitude is kind of counterculture skiing. And I feel like this ski captures that really, really nicely.
Yeah, I'm like a pretty big Optic fan.
Yeah.
They have a new
You always have
88
been.
for this year.
Yeah.
So 88, 96, 104, 114. Obviously the middle is where you're going to see the most kind of versatility. With this 104, just feeling like it is ready to go. Like you
Yep.
can send this thing.
You can, but then you can like shut it down really easily. And that's what I always liked about the Enforcer 104 free.
Yeah.
It's like straight line stability was pretty much off the charts, but then like its ability to just go from straight to sideways to dump all your speed was impressive.
Yep.
And this ski really achieves that kind of same characteristic.
Yeah, and we can have a similar conversation with the next one too, in terms of it being able to hold multiple things kind of at the same time in that regard.
Yep, I think it can. I think Rustler, if anything, like adds in elements, because I actually think Rustler can make like round groomer turns.
Yeah.
Where Optic 104 doesn't really make round groomer turns.
Yeah.
It can, but it like the tip width or like the width right there is so much different that it doesn't like pull you into a turn.
I found that with the narrower, the 96 and the 88, that those round
They do it a little
turns
better.
a lot
Yeah.
more.
Yep,
And then
I
this
agree.
and the 114 are definitely
They like to go straight and
straighter.
sideways.
Yep.
Which I think is great because
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people that want that. And with the 104 free gone, like that, I bet you're going to see more people on those.
Yeah. But yeah, nice comparison to the Rustler 10 here. This is a carryover model for 2025. Same everything. And I think that's a good thing.
Great ski.
I mean, really kind of one of the skis that stands out as being, if you're an advanced or expert skier looking for a ski in this range,
And you don't know what to get,
don't know what to get.
just get a Rustler 10.
It's just such an easy ski to get along with.
Similar to the QST 106.
Yeah, but then it has like not an unreachable ceiling, but it has a high ceiling.
Yep.
Like you really have to be an accomplished skier to find the top end of this Rustler 10.
Yep.
Really, really cool stuff. Sophisticated build with a true blend wood core, so the beach stringers extend further into the middle of the ski, similar to what we talked about with the Kastle, with the lighter weight wood along the sides. But then they balance that with their FlexForm metal technology. So metal arms along the edges that reach up almost to the tip. They don't go all the way around, and that's going to allow the ski to articulate a little bit better. And that goes through to the tail as well, where we have metal full underfoot, and then the arms that extend pretty much to the end of the tail, but they don't connect. So again, it's kind of swallowtail technology, but
Without a swallowtail.
without a swallowtail, I
Yeah,
guess.
sure. I hear you.
And it's actually not that heavy, 1,937 grams
I think it's impressive how
in
much
this-
they put in that thing.
Yeah, in the 186 here.
Yeah.
And like we talked about at the beginning, this one's 104 underfoot, as is the larger 191. But then when you go narrower to the 180 and lower, we get down to 102. I think the shape of this ski brings it more into the Freeride realm, especially when we're
think so.
talking about the Anomaly 102 as its kind of in-brand counterpart.
It's right at home between that Optic 104 and the
Yeah.
Atris.
Yep.
It belongs right there.
I would say the biggest difference is in the edge grip. Both this and Atris, they are equally as fun in terms of pivoting and slashing. I think that that's like something that you don't expect from a Rustler 10 is just how easy it is to pivot, given the strength and how well it carves.
It's so easy to pivot.
Yeah. And so when you're like, I always kind of think about skiing moguls, if you get to the top of one and you realize that you need to basically shift your skis back to a certain direction.
Yep.
Like some skis are a lot easier than that than others. Then this Rustler 10 does a great job. Like whether you're in the woods or the bumps or somewhere where you need to unweight and then shift, that's where this really comes in handy.
Yep.
And like for me and how I ski, like that happens all the time. You know, like I'm constantly trying to set myself up. And
I
think
don't
this
really know
works
how you
well.
do it. I see it in footage all the time.
Yeah.
You do one extra turn.
Yeah, you always have to do one more rather than one less. That's what I was always taught, and I can't stop.
Clearly, I should have taken formal mogul lessons because
Yeah.
I tend to lean towards the opposite, and then I get in trouble. I'm like, I don't have time to turn
Yeah.
here. I'm just going to jump from that thing to over there, and
Yeah.
then I'll stop somewhere down there.
I mean, they both work. You know, that's
Yeah.
the fun thing is that the techniques.
Well, and like interestingly, the abilities of this ski work really well for both.
Right.
Because they let you make your one extra quick turn, and then they let me be an idiot and get going way
Yeah.
too fast and actually stop because
Yeah.
the ski's not like fighting me.
No, it's nice to feel supported whichever way you choose.
Encouraged, if anything.
Yeah, totally. Monster splay here. Like
Yeah.
I feel like when we're looking at this splay
Tons.
of this tip, it's similar to what we're seeing in DPS world
But so
over
much
there.
wider.
So much wider, but not nearly as much taper. So what that tells me is that you're riding more of the ski higher into it, closer to the tip, kind of increasing the ski contact with the snow, and that makes it feel smoother. So
Yeah.
I think that that's kind of an interesting way to go about the shaping and profiling of this ski. Again, kind of a decent amount of rocker here. We're definitely entering kind of the dramatic side of the shaping portion of this wall, and then a nice rounded tail shape here. So everything here is about smoothness and roundness, and then the added bonus of just being able to unweight and pivot the ski, I think makes it a standout for sure.
Yep.
And then nice consistent flex pattern as well. I think it's like a little bit more flexible than you may think.
I bet most people would think it was stiffer.
Yeah, but really fun. You know, again, supremely versatile. I don't think that there's much that, you know, especially because it's a little bit narrower, that can handle on-off as well as this Rustler 10.
Yeah, it's super fun. I skied it a decent amount when I was out in Austria.
Yep.
And yeah, it was great. And there was a big a big goal, of that trip was skiing new anomalies.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, I think I started the first. No, I didn't. But at one point, I was on the Rustler 10 for a considerable amount of time, and then somebody wanted to switch with me, and I was reluctant.
Yeah.
Because it just fits my style so well. I also love the way it looks. There's a lot I like about it.
Well, that's why you got to pair that with your Anomaly 88, and then you have your two black and orange skis.
I know. That is such an elite two ski quiver.
Yeah.
Anomaly 88 and Rustler 10. If you want to be just the sleekest,
Blizzard skier.
most well coordinated skier on the mountain,
Yeah.
get a Rustler 10 and an Anomaly 88.
Yeah.
And people will notice.
Well, they won't notice because they won't see you skiing two skis at once, but if you're day to day with this person, you'll be
Yeah.
like, hey,
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you skied 80 days at Stowe next year and you split it between Anomaly 88 and Rustler 10,
People would notice.
You would develop
Yeah.
a personality. People would know who you were. So, worth thinking about if you're a Blizzard fan. Next up is the Black Crows Atris. This is a great ski. I feel like a lot of what you just said about the Rustler 10 applies to this ski. In fact, as you were talking about it, I found myself standing here looking at this ski, wondering how I was going to describe it differently. And I find that this ski actually feels, although we have it more on the less directional side, I find it's like a little bit more responsive. I've always thought that this ski, its agility in the woods is pretty impressive, and I feel like it gives you a touch more feedback. Would you agree?
I have kind of, no.
Cool.
I have my own experiences with Atris, which I can share when you're done with your thing, but no, like precision and reaction are not two things that I've gotten out of them.
I wouldn't say that in a vacuum that
Yeah.
it has it. I just think it might have a touch more than the Rustler, where I
Yeah.
find the Rustler is a little bit more drifty.
Yeah.
So that's kind of all I was saying. But pretty simple build here. It's just a poplar wood core and nothing else, which is kind of unique because we've talked about so many different like additives and
Right.
different ingredients in all these skis, and that's like kind of reflective of what Black Crows does as a brand. They focus a little bit more on the shaping, and I think that's really cool. So poplar wood core in this ski, nice, easygoing, pretty round flex pattern. 2,015 grams. This is the 184.3.
So heavier than the Rustler.
Heavier than the Rustler.
Yep.
A little softer, I think. For me, and this is a big reason why I was just saying what I was saying, Bob. Good amount of tip rocker up here. Little bit of early taper in the shovel. Decent amount of tail rocker, probably not as much splay as we saw in that Rustler. And then a little bit like more squared off in the tail.
Yeah.
So that's where I feel like just a little bit more kick out of the tail. But I also feel like this has a little bit more freestyle influence. So it's like slightly, it's almost like going in two different ways compared to the Rustler 10 at the same time, because I do think it's like I would probably rather ski the Atris in the park, but I wouldn't really like to ski either necessarily in the park. But then I also find this is just a little bit more agile, where that Rustler lets me just like throw it sideways a little bit more easily. So that's kind of what I was getting at. But I've always really enjoyed the Atris. 20 meter turn radius. I think it like, for being, you know, relatively soft, it's not a stiff ski at all. At my weight, I don't ever really find a limit to stability, so I can ski it really hard and aggressively on a groomer or at speed really anywhere. I really like the fact that I can ski it switch and kind of use it as like an all-mountain freestyle ski or a freeride-y freestyle ski. I suppose that like the only thing that I would change about it is I would love to maybe increase the tail rocker a tiny bit, just make it a tiny bit more twin tippy.
Yeah.
But then like, I don't know that that would appease the masses. You know what I mean?
I don't know. People seem to really enjoy this ski. I'm sure a little extra tail rocker wouldn't sway them.
I would just be
Too far.
interested, because then it would give it a little bit more drifty feel.
Yeah.
But I think it's great. I think it checks a lot of boxes for skiers. I think it's like honestly another one of those skis that's like, if you're shopping in the 105 millimeter category and you're not sure what to get, I bet you could get an Atris and be really happy.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing that it doesn't do.
I need to size up on this. That's kind of my overall impression, is that this 184 for me, I don't feel supported enough.
That kind of makes sense. I feel like it's a short 184.
It just it does feel short to me. I feel like
It is kind of a short 184.
yeah. I mean, I've skied this in the 190 and I appreciate it a lot more than the 184.
Well, that's interesting because I am quite sure I only skied it in this length, and I always really liked it.
Yeah.
Which this, on paper, for me, can get a bit long because I actually prefer the Rustler 10 and the 180.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's not like I've had any negative experiences on the 184, more that I've had overly positive experiences on the 190.
Yeah.
And in those cases, mostly in longer carved turns where I really appreciate kind of the smoothness
It's
of
very
the ski.
smooth.
It's very smooth.
Yeah.
And I think that I just lose a little bit of that when I go to the shorter length. It's just not as substantial.
Yeah, that makes a lot of
So,
sense.
That's my big takeaway, but I totally understand why so many people really enjoy this. And they're very innovative with their shaping. Another one that's changed up a bit.
I almost made it without a drink, but not quite.
You got to do it. We have a new Armada ARV 106 here. Really, ARVs took a big step last year, specifically with the 94 and the 100.
Yeah.
88 did change for last year, right?
Yeah,
And
really,
then-
like this one didn't, and that's about it.
Yeah, this
and
one.
the 86.
Well, we get a new 112 as
No,
well.
84. Oh gosh, whatever.
You know, there's a lot.
This one didn't change. The 88, the 94, and the 100 all did.
Yeah. So for this year, we get a new 106, a new build and
Yep.
style,
Yep.
and then a whole new 112.
Yep.
So a couple new ARVs going on, but for the whole line, they changed from Karuba to poplar wood. This one used to have more ash involved, and now it's just more of an underfoot, similar to what we saw in the 94 and the 100 in years prior.
Well, and this is like basically you could like go back and like basically copy paste the conversation we had last year of ARV 96 to 94.
Yes.
And like previous ARV 106 to this new ARV 106, it's the same exact conversation.
Yeah.
It's
And-
lighter,
Yeah.
shape is different.
Yep.
That old 104 was like kind of a monster.
Yeah. And if you had the old 106,
Sorry, yes.
yeah. If we had the old 106, we'd
It'd be
be
like
looking at
2300.
200 or 300 extra more grams.
Yeah.
This one's 1969 here on the scale in the 180, I believe. Is that a 180? Yeah, it's a 180. So we're dropping the weight because we're losing a lot of that ash, thinner core profile overall. And I think that might be upsetting to some skiers who enjoyed that sturdiness of the 106 in the past.
Well, it definitely is like a different
It's
ski.
a different ski.
It's a way different
Yeah.
ski. Yeah. I think it's a better tool
Yeah,
for what on paper to me is an Armada ARV 106 skier.
right.
Because to me, I think about like freestyle and hitting park jumps and like probably even gonna slide some rails on it, even though it's 106 underfoot. And the old ski felt heavy
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
Like we used to compare the old ARV 106 to the Enforcer 104,
Right.
which felt weird because like it didn't feel like they were designed for the same thing. But it's kind of a tricky conversation because if you've liked the ARV 106 of the past, chances are you'll still like this. But if you're expecting it to feel the same, you're in for an
Yeah.
experience, an eye-opening experience.
Really what they've done is made the whole line more consistent.
It's
So
basically just a wider 100.
It's a wider 100.
Yeah, and it's awesome. I had a
yeah.
great time on it.
No, totally. Every one of these new ARVs, and I liked them last year too. I think the move to poplar just solidifies it, increases the confidence in an on-trail setting.
Yeah, I agree.
And then just gives a bit of a boost in terms of just a higher quality feel for off-trail crud and chop and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, 106 underfoot, beautiful twin tip ski. We get this wedge wall technology as well. So all of the things that we saw incorporated into 94 and 100 last year come into 106. Really interesting, nice higher camber profile as well. So a lot of positive camber in here. When we're kind of reducing additives, then if you want the same level of energy, you have to build it into the ski through camber. So a lot more pop built into the ski. Not like a ton of splay. You know, I think we're kind of working into freestyle inspired twin tip shape.
I was just going to say
sure.
that's the most symmetrical rocker shape that we've seen so far by far.
Yeah. So we're definitely taking notes from the narrower versions of
And what is it? 132, 106, 125. Like that's we're creeping into
a little more symmetry.
more park.
Yeah.
Yeah, more park influence.
And then nice kind of straight overall taper here as well. That just makes it easier and smoother at the tail end. 20-meter radius, I feel like it operates better at shorter, just to take advantage of that camber. And I just think that these are just more peppy and energetic than they used to be.
They're
And I
also
think,
so easy to bend.
yeah, and I think that that fits in well with kind of where ARV is going, especially if you consider that declivity is, especially the wider, the X, the 102 and 108,
Yep,
are a little bit more freeride oriented now as well.
totally.
But yeah, nice, even kind of, I don't want to say it's soft because it is supportive, but there is some flex there for sure.
It's like soft in the tips and tails.
Yeah. But I mean, like you said, a total blast. I mean, we got a really nice snow day here in Stowe for skiing these. Did you ski this that day?
I did, and then I also skied it in our ski test.
Yeah.
And I have like fun point of view footage of skiing it in our ski test, and I just had a blast.
Yeah.
I had like a really like a personally rewarding run on that ski. Part of it was the people I was skiing with. I just happened to like kind of find a group of like-minded, similar-aged skiers, and
Yep.
we went and like skied some steeper, aggressive terrain, and like kind of skied it fast, and there was some hooting and hollering, and I was on an ARV 106,
Yep.
and I'll remember that run for 10
Yeah.
years probably, and I will always think fondly of that ski because it did everything that I asked it to, and I feel right at home on a ski that wide that has a little bit more symmetry to it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's similar to this Atris here, kind of in terms
Yeah.
of overall feel.
just less directional, which is why it's to the right of me.
Exactly. But I think that's a nice comparison.
Yeah.
You know, jumping a ski to the Prodigy here
Yep,
as
I
well.
was looking at that one too.
You know, just in terms of weight, when we look at this line here.
I'd actually even put Nightstick into that conversation.
Yeah, probably.
Pretty similar
It's
build.
really the weight of these that sets them apart.
I was not going to compare this ski at all to the
no,
ARV
this
106. This is as much of an outlier. Whoa, wait a minute, hold on.
3 lines?
Is this some sort of record?
3 lines in a comparison?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, it makes sense because Line, we were talking about brands.
Yeah.
This is Line's priority.
This is their
their
bread
thing.
and butter.
Yeah. So it makes sense.
You could almost put a Bacon 108 in here.
Yep.
So, anyways, yay Line. Wish we had some ski boards. If I had a Line Jedi 89, I would bring them out right now to pay homage. But anyways, yeah, this is, I was going to say before I got distracted by how many lines we have, that this is almost as much of an outlier as Sakana, in my opinion, because it's like core weight or lighter actually, but like very twin tippy. So this is the Vision 104. It is a new ski. They kind of just tweaked the Vision line. It used to be, what, 98 108? And now it's 96 104.
Yeah, and they have wider. I think a 114, as well as they used to have the 116 or 118. I think.
Yeah, and then Aspen Polonia.
Yep.
In the core of this thing, and then this is that like interesting combination of carbon and aramid, or maybe better known as Kevlar, and Line likes to call it THC, which has to be like the worst acronym ever.
Because there's no T, H, or C in carbon or aramid.
Correct.
Yeah.
I've always been hung up on
I mean,
that.
the C for carbon, but I don't understand the TH.
They also have like a partly cloudy wood core.
Yeah.
That doesn't make much sense either. I
They're fun,
I
yeah.
appreciate Line's creativity. It's
Yep,
just
for
that
sure.
the logic sometimes escapes me. So pretty interesting build in this ski, and it is 1,630 grams. And what length is this?
85.
Yeah, so it's big.
Yeah.
This is a big ski, and it's crazy lightweight. It's so light that like if they slapped touring ski on this. I don't think that would be a fault, but I also commend Line in them not doing that, because they really just like let the skier decide whatever they want it to be.
Yeah.
Like, hey, here's a 104 twin tip that's light. Go have fun.
Right. Do what you want.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a lightweight twin tip, regardless of whether you're going to put an alpine binding on it or a touring binding on it, here it is. It's also very soft, but it's slightly stiffer than the previous Vision skis. And I think that's nice, because I remember skiing those Vision, particularly the 98. So not a direct comparison, but still a worthwhile comparison. And like wheeling out on it, like trying to like ollie, and then the ski was just so soft I just like fell over backwards.
Yeah.
So I think this still like achieves all the positive sides of having a soft flexing ski. If you want to butter, if you want to do like little like nose presses or nose blocks or whatever, you want to just do like everything that Will Weston does, you can take the ski and go do everything that Will Weston does, but it is a little bit more trustworthy, which I think is really nice. So very light, very soft, and then purely a twin tip with a ton of rocker.
Yeah.
So tip rocker starts right where my hand is, and then nice kind of finish into the actual tip. And then same is true in the tail. Just a ton of tail rocker back here, and then extends into that actual twin tip shape. So super, super playful, really drifty, really agile, so easy to throw side to side. It is not going to win awards for stability at speed.
No, and I've spent more time on the 96 than this 104, but in that time I learned to enjoy kind of the idea of what it's for, and it's not for charging.
No,
It's for
playing. Yeah.
And like there's a lot of skiers that spend a lot of time being deliberate and purposeful with their turns. This is like the toy version of your DPSs over there.
I
So
thought you were going to say it's the toy version of an Optic 104, which kind of is true too.
I think that's accurate for sure. But in terms of deliberateness, we talk about the DPS, and I think that it's that, but way more fun in this Optic 104.
Way cheaper too.
Yeah, probably get 3 of those for a DPS.
Probably at least get 2. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was surprised at how much I liked the 96, given how light they were.
Yeah.
You know, obviously you have to understand that there's the limitation.
You just have to be aware of what you're getting. And it's if anything, it's like the opposite of the Optic 104.
Right.
Where that ski can be like kind of tiring and like kind of a lot. And this ski, on the other hand, like don't let it run.
Yeah.
Because then you will be on the ground.
But
unless you're like the most balanced skier in the world.
This is one of the skis that I can get sideways.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that about it.
Yeah. And like, how many touring appropriate twin tips are there?
Yeah. I mean, we like the
Not that
Enforcer
many.
104 Unlimited. You know, that's like something that would fit
This
in
is
very
actually
well.
lighter
Yeah.
than Enforcer 104 Unlimited. So if you want to like tour, if you want to slap some skins on, go skin up, build a jump, hit it for a while, and then go ski it back down to the bottom, all on one ski, and you want it to be light, I can't think of anything better.
Yeah. No, pretty.
A lot of people would do that and just take a heavier ski.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that would be the argument against it, but yeah, I think it's awesome.
No, I think mobility and agility are very underrated properties of skis.
There aren't many skis that I could just do what I just did. Pick up both of them.
Both of them with one hand.
One hand off the tip.
Kind of including this one. This is a Faction Prodigy 3.
I love this ski. We're actually getting into the
you
section
do.
of the wall where I love every ski.
I know, and my smile's kind of turning more into a frown, but that's fine. Prodigy 3,
It's really giving
1900,
you some nice energy to
1973 grams here in the 178.
Yeah.
You know, this is really just kind of on Faction's website as their. I think I just read about it. They use the terms all mountain, directional, free ride, and twin tip.
They just
Like
every word that you can use to describe
every
a ski,
word that you can describe,
which is both wrong and correct
I know,
at the same time.
It's pretty fun. I was hoping it would be on the ski, but it's not, unfortunately. But yeah, 106 millimeters underfoot. We got a 19 meter turn radius here. And really, it does encapsulate all of those things. Faction's basically like, what can we put into this thing to make it more fun and more playful for more skiers? One of the big things that they do here, and you were talking about it earlier with transitioning from sidewall to cap, but it's
way back here.
Yeah, it's a
hours ago.
Pretty dramatic change from sidewall to cap, and that's so all mountain, directional with a further point back, and they even indicate that on their little cheat sheet sticker. Twin tip, and then Freeride with the cap. So that's kind of how they get all of those things.
It's very similar. I'm going to have a very similar conversation with the next ski.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of, the middle is where the variation is.
Yeah.
The ends are where they're more similar.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely has that twin tip style. They start the rocker where that sidewall ends. I believe they do that in that faction as well as the Optic.
Correct. I'm not going to get it, but yes.
So yeah, the rockered portion is also capped in both tips and in tails. And this is where we start to see that freestyle influence come into play. Faction clearly has a very strong freestyle and park background. So that gets translated really well into this Prodigy 3. So pretty cool stuff. Not a whole lot going on in terms of construction. Similar to what we talked about with Atris, poplar wood core, fiberglass. The narrower skis in the new Prodigies get the carbon and rubber stomp pad. These do not. That emphasizes that they are more meant to be used in softer snow.
Yeah, less park application.
Less park application, so no need to put that additional material in underfoot. And I think it just allows the skis to be more flexible throughout, consistent from tip to tail. So yeah, we're entering that symmetrical world for sure when we get to Prodigy here in terms of true twin tip style.
Yep, I like it. I like that there's just no frills. There's no surprises. It's just a straightforward ski.
I was not surprised, and I kind of didn't like that about it, where I just kind of felt it was not my style.
Well, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Because probably when you get on a twin tip, like there needs to be something.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to go do a 180.
Right. I did some 180s this year.
Yeah, but not like fast.
No.
It's not like part of your skiing.
No.
So it's like, if you're not doing those things,
Yeah.
then like what's the point? But then for somebody like me, I get on a ski like that, and I'm like, oh, I can do everything that I like to do on skis. Like,
Right.
this is great.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about this one, but I think you like this
I had
ski.
a lot more success on this Nightstick than on that Prodigy.
Yeah, so new Nightstick 104 here from Fischer. I'm really happy to see this ski exist. And a lot of that, it doesn't even have anything to do with its performance. A big reason why I'm excited about this ski is I was among skiers that were somewhat bummed out that the Ranger 102 FR went away.
Yeah.
Similar to how, like, I've admitted that I liked the Enforcer 104 Free more than I like this ski.
Yeah.
I like twin tips. So I was a little bummed when they got rid of Ranger 102 FR, and the new Ranger 102 is great. I like that ski a lot, but for very different reasons. This Nightstick 104 just like fills that gap. And I thought it was so cool that Fischer gained this strong following in the wider twin tip world, and then it was kind of a bummer that they just neglected them.
Yeah.
And now there's a really good ski
Yeah.
for those skiers. So I'm excited that it exists. Just a poplar wood core in this ski, and then we get that TI reinforcement layer. So it's like kind of similar to Ranger construction, except the wider Rangers, they use beech as well, and then the metal is on the top, and it's in that shaped TI. This metal is, oh God.
Oh boy.
That was real close to disaster, but we're okay. This ski, the metal is along the base, just underfoot, and you can actually see it in the sidewall, which is also different than Rangers, because Rangers are like tucked in from the sidewall a little bit. And a big reason for this Titanal laminate is for durability. So it's not actually designed specifically for performance. It's designed for durability. And I feel like the performance benefit is kind of like secondary. It's like bonus, because I do think it helps a lot. And I think it's cool that they're giving some focus to durability. I don't think like a ton of people are going to be sliding rails on this ski at 104 underfoot. I think the 97 and the 90, those are better if you're going to be choosing a park ski. But people will definitely be hitting rocks on it. And it's similar to Armada and the wedge wall. I like the focus on durability.
Right.
So this ski to me feels very, very similar to the 97, just kind of wider in every dimension. It is not the stiffest ski in the world. In fact, it is relatively soft.
Yeah.
It's especially soft in the tips and tails, which I think is really fun. Lets you like really manipulate the ski. And then because I almost knocked everything over, I can't see. This is the 180 and we're at 1,920 grams. So very reasonable weight. It's not heavy, nor is it light. And the shape is pretty straightforward as well. Decent amount of tip rocker up here. Nice camber height. I think that's big for the flex pattern.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty soft, so having that camber is great, so you don't just push right through the ski. And then like almost a symmetrical rocker profile. It is not a symmetrical ski. We're 139, 104, 129, but it does have some freestyle influence. You were talking about the range and mount point on that Prodigy. This one goes from center down to -2, which doesn't really make much sense because -2 is actually -6.
Gotcha.
So the team recommended spot is actually 4 back from true center. And I think that's kind of telling because it's like an indicator that this probably should be considered more of an all-mountain freeride ski and less of a park ski that's also good around the mountain. You know, I think the 97 really blurs that line. The 90 is like basically purely park ski. There's a 2 millimeter difference between tip and tail dimensions in the Nightstick 90. So that's like, and it makes sense. You know, the 90 is going to be better in the park on firmer snow, and this 104 is going to be better in softer snow. And, you know, I like this ski for very similar reasons why I like that Prodigy. Is there's no surprises, there's no frills. It kind of does everything that I need a ski to do. The one thing that I will say is I've seen this feedback a lot, and we saw it on the 97 as well. Both skis are like pretty damp and pretty quiet, and they're not particularly energetic. And the Ranger 102 FR was very energetic. So I'm not saying that if you like the Ranger 102 FR, you're going to like this ski. I'm saying it fills a similar spot in their line. But the rest just comes down to ski or like your own personal goals and what you like and ski performance and how it works for you. I like this in this shape because it lets me be the one in charge, you know, whereas like on a core 105, I feel like the ski is a little bit in charge, and I'm just like, okay, no, I got it. I got to turn here. Nope, okay, pole plant. Yep, I'm there. I'm with you. Like I can do that. Yeah. Where this ski, there's nothing that's ever surprising about it, and it's like, it's totally split. It's like split in our ski test feedback. Do you know? You don't know probably. You might have because you wrote it. Do you know? Lots of people got on it. There were only 2 different numbers for overall impression. Can you guess what those were?
10 and 1?
No, 9 and 6.
Okay.
But those are pretty different.
Yeah.
Like if you see a 9 overall impression score on our ski test, the person really liked it. Yeah. If you see a 6 overall impression, they didn't like it and they're being nice.
Right. I'm not a nice grader. Like
I go down to like 3s and stuff.
3s and 2s.
But a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
And like when I see 6s, that to me is an indicator that like that didn't really like do it for you. So it is just, that's like the one thing that I'll throw out there about this ski is there's probably not universal broad appeal, but I really like it.
I really like it too.
And you really like it too.
Yeah, like you said no surprises in the ski, and I'll give you that, but I was personally surprised at how much I liked it, considering I don't have the best relationship with the current Rangers.
And
So-
you didn't like the Nightstick 97 as much, right?
No, I did.
You did, okay.
97 and 104.
Maybe you skied it too short to start. I don't remember. That was over a year ago.
Yeah. No, I skied this year. I skied them in the longer lengths and
Really liked it.
really liked them. Like
Yeah.
super comfortable rolling from edge to edge.
Yep.
I thought that was a highlight on both 104 and 97 over pretty much any other new ski I got on this year.
Yep.
Was just that edge rolling capability and
Yep.
just how smooth it was.
But yeah, very damp.
Yeah.
Like if I was to pinpoint some skis that feel very different, I would say ARV and Scope.
Yeah.
Those two skis, like if you're kind of looking for an example of something that is more responsive and more energetic, those would be the ones that I would point to.
Yep.
But I think it's awesome, and kudos to Fischer for bringing some attention back to the twin tip skiers of the world.
And then a note on the graphics too. They are, what is it, like a continuous computer generated graphic, and
Yeah,
the
they're
two
all
are the
different.
same.
Yeah,
So I think that's interesting.
yeah. I tried to talk about that in ski test videos, and it was like really hard to talk about, and I kind of gave up.
Yeah. Well, I would put in a good vote for this Volkl Revolt 104 to be one of the best looking skis that I've seen this year. I think this is a real nice looking ski, and it continues its construction and shaping from forever, I guess.
Nope, not forever.
Not forever?
No, the ski has not existed forever.
No, I know, but it's been the same since inception, construction-wise.
Yes.
But different graphic for this year. Again, kind of a simpler build from Volkl standpoint, using their multi-layer wood core of poplar and beech. What they do though is they just use more of that wood, and it ends up weighing 1,934 grams. I think this is the 180. And really just, they do a good job of making it feel sturdy, similar to K2 and Salomon here, where it's smooth, quiet, stable, but not tiring or demanding.
Yeah.
Like incredibly playful, very fun-loving. I think that like creative skiers get the most out of this. This and this next scope here, kind of the more creativity you put into it, the more enjoyment you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, Matt Stromecki really liked that ski, and he
Yeah.
falls into that category of very creative
Yeah.
skier.
And then do you remember Tyler, who used to work here? He got a pair of these.
Yeah, he loved it.
Not at first. He was, because he skied.
Oh, I remember this, yeah.
He had a Mantra 102 and then got this. And I think he was expecting Mantra 102.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you just got to like be weird on the skis.
Yeah.
And then you'll like them.
Yeah.
And I think like he came in the next day and he's like, you were totally right. I was trying to ski this like a Mantra 102 and it's just, it can't do it.
Yeah.
So really interesting how they do it is basically through the shaping. Lots of difference in tip and tail, and that's kind of what we've focused on with Revolt 104.
It's one of the rare opportunities to use the word taper in a different
way.
different application. Yes.
So taper just in terms of the widest part of the ski and how far down it is in relation to the tip versus taper, I'm just going to use one ski for this, in terms of the difference between tip width and tail width.
Yeah.
So the more you drop from tip to tail, the more you change kind of the playfulness and the agility and the wiggle factor of the ski. So when you see a narrower tail, and this one specifically,
It's honestly like, it's like a big reason why this gets so narrow.
But one of the,
gosh.
oh boy, you shouldn't touch any more skis today.
No, we're done.
One of the interesting parts is that there's still, the widest part of the tail is brought down into the ski, leaving this huge distance of narrowness at the end. And we've talked about it with K2 as well, and I think your DPS example is good, where it makes the tail of the ski sit into the snow more, and then you're able to steer like a rudder. And that really exemplifies the creativity that the Revolt inspires in people. And I think that works really well. And like you said, there's not a whole lot of skis out there that have that level of difference in terms of tip and tail shape.
I don't remember the price, but the value's off the charts.
Yeah, Revolts generally
All Revolts,
nice,
really.
nice price points on these.
Yep.
But long rocker, good splay. You know, Revolt's interesting because that's their freestyle. You know, that's their competitive park ski, the Revolt 90. And then there's differences. It's not like they're just wider versions of the 90. Which
well, there's a big jump from 96 to 104.
Yeah.
Because the 96 is still like more of a sort of symmetrically shaped twin tip park ski. And then this is like, it's almost like powder shape, but
narrower. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you get to the 114, and then it's just a different animal altogether. Like this is like a narrow 121, whereas like the Revolt 114 feels like it's its own mold and ski. Like it doesn't, it, in my mind, doesn't even have to be a Revolt.
Yep.
Whereas the rest of them kind of fit more into a similar style.
Yep.
But really, I mean, you know, nice even flex. I think you're just getting a lot of stability and sturdiness to go along with this really innovative shaping that makes it stand out.
I feel like people are always surprised by how stable that ski feels and how trustworthy it is. And it's cool when they can achieve that with just wood.
Yep.
Reminds me of Atris.
And similar to Atris, I will note that this 180 does not feel supportive to me at 6'2" and 225. The bigger one, the 188, is just right on the money.
That makes sense because the 180 is like my length.
Yeah.
And that I feel great on the 180 and can really let it run.
Yeah, but I do think that this is a ski that you can upsize on,
Yep.
especially given the fact that the intent is to use it in softer snow.
Yep.
So you want to increase that flotation, you know, and kind of those free ride capabilities. I think it's okay to upsize, even though it is kind of heftier feeling. But really, really awesome.
Yep. No, I agree.
And now we got a new one, Jeff. Scope 104 for you.
Yeah, so big differences here. New factory for Liberty. They've moved into European manufacturing, so no more Chinese factory. That means, I don't know if that's the reason, but no more bamboo-based construction. This one is poplar and ash.
Yep.
And then we get a phenolic plate, which is like the phenol sidewall material, but like used in a horizontal application, which is interesting. Like, I don't know that I've ever really heard of that.
I've never heard of it.
But it makes sense. And like you hear about ABS being used in ski materials all the time.
Like this.
Exactly.
You're just increasing the amount of stiffer ABS in the underfoot zone. But
yeah. So phenol is like a more, it's a denser material than ABS. And it's typically found on race ski sidewalls. It can be brittle for a sidewall material, but I think it like makes sense in ski construction. But it is very interesting. This new Liberty Scope 104 is quite unique, I think. And I'm interested in your take, Bob. And so Bob largely did this organization, and then we made a couple tweaks from there. And one of the things that I questioned was, is this the least directional? Because I look at skis on this wall and think like, well, that's a better park ski, and that's a better park ski, and that's probably also a better park ski. So why would this be the least directional? And I think it's correct to put it over there because it's gotta be the most agile of anything on this wall. The edge release of this ski is ridiculous.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That's how I feel on it.
And for some skiers, that will be a complete deal breaker, and you won't like it at all. For other skiers, it will be a dream come true, and like is kind of something that we've talked about with Liberty skis a lot over the years. Like Origins were always like very maneuverable, given their construction and their flex pattern and all of that stuff. And these just kind of like capture that and take it to another level. They like really enhance it. 1,750 grams. This is what, a 180? Yeah, this is a 180 centimeter length. So pretty darn light. I think probably the second lightest ski on this whole wall, just behind the Vision. It is pretty soft. Not the softest ski.
What do you think, Vision or
It's
Fischer?
softer than Vision. Actually might be the softest ski on this wall. I actually think Nightstick is probably the closest, but this doesn't
Oh
have
no.
that softer,
Oh,
you
yeah.
think? Okay, so second lightest and softest ski on the wall. And with that comes pretty unique performance. If you get on this thing and you expect stability at speed and edge grip in a carving turn, I hate to break it to you, but you're going to be disappointed. If you get on this ski and you expect agility and maneuverability for the trees, say you love skiing really tight technical terrain, and then you also want to ski some park on it, you're going to have a great time.
Yeah, gold medal.
Totally.
Yeah.
And like, I think you said this, we did like a Scope 94-104 combo review, and I think you said something like, this ski can do things that no other ski on the market can do.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that I chose to oppose it to the Sakana. Like, I'm like, what ski is the opposite of the Sakana? And
I like that.
In my mind on this wall, it's this.
Because it cannot carve.
Right.
I mean, it can, but it's like, it requires perfect balance and
Yeah.
like just a really skilled skier.
And slightly soft snow.
Slightly soft snow, yeah, probably not too heavy.
Yeah.
I can carve on it.
Yeah.
You would struggle more than me.
Yeah, I push right through.
Yeah, so it is very, very unique. What's cool is I really like what Liberty is doing. They don't have a really wide radian, but the Radian 100 is very different.
Yeah,
That thing can rip turns.
I get along great with that ski.
Yeah, and like I get along great with this ski.
Yep.
So Liberty has made some like really cool skis. They're just like, they're pretty unique, you know, and I think it's like, it's not a blanket appeal. This is not something that I would recommend to everybody. I would recommend it to freestyle skiers who particularly want something lightweight or really technical tree skiers.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Not to say that it's a bad ski, I just think it has a pretty specific application.
Yeah, the other analogy I used was like if you're standing on the top of like a tree line, like I think of Tres Amigos Woods, pretty popular, like well-skied woods here at Stowe. Like if you're standing and kind of picturing your line, if you dumped a bucket of water down it, this ski would it would follow that path. So like,
Oh, sure.
it bends, it flexes, it does the things that the water would do
Yeah,
going down that line.
sure.
And so if you think about it that way, and if you don't want to put in any effort at all, just ski in the trees, like
Yeah.
again, gold medal.
Yep.
Like there's a reason why this does things that the Sakana can't do and other skis in the world can't do.
But some significant limitations,
Yes.
which is fine.
Right. Yeah. No, and like I feel like when we talk about like the line blend, you know, when we're just like, oh, this is a different thing than so many other things.
Yeah.
But I think there's something to that plate and that thicker sidewall underfoot. It's just the tips and tails that are so incredibly flexible. Like it is somewhat stiff underfoot.
Well, and it's like the tips and tails are so flexible that they don't let you start a turn
Yeah.
that you could then use the stiffness underfoot.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't love being in like a dynamic carving format. It loves to be playful and maneuverable and agile and
Yeah.
get flicked around.
Yeah.
So you got to ski it with that mentality, but that's fine because
Yeah.
there's a lot of skiers with that mentality. It's like you were just describing Tyler on the Revolt. Like don't ski this like
A Radian.
or an Evolve
Yeah.
100. Yeah,
Yeah.
like talk about older skis. So yeah, pretty fun. Bob, you got anything else?
I don't think so. Just another note that this is a very interesting collection. You know, I think when we get to narrower and wider, there's kind of more subtle differences. But,
Yeah.
you know, from Sakana to Scope, when you're only dealing with 1 millimeter of width underfoot difference,
Very different.
very
skis.
different skis.
Yeah.
And I think that this range really kind of blurs a lot of those lines.
Yeah.
But
Yep, I agree.
overall, I think these skiers are either in search of soft snow constantly or
Yep.
are using this as a slightly wider ski to complement something narrower. Your Anomaly 88 to Rustler 10
Yeah.
comparison was really good. But I don't think there's many people where we are that use a ski like this daily?
No, there are some,
Some.
but not many. And I like that. I like that we started with this one selfishly, because it is. I would say it's a more challenging conversation on our end.
Yeah.
Because there's so many differences. Where, like you said, once we get into like 90 underfoot all mountain skis, like they're all mountain skis.
Right.
Where you get a big variety in these kind of 105-ish freeride skis.
Yeah, there's a lot of diversity on this wall.
Yeah. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed the comparison. Definitely let us know if you have any questions about these skis. Encourage you to check out the ski test once it's live. Hopefully it's live by the time you're watching this. And yeah, look out for more comparisons, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.